it's complete pretense. There's nobody at that level of government that will not know the age of those refineries. There are several parts to it. Take away the corruption issue completely from this discussion and let us look at the reality on ground. You have 4 refineries operating, 2 in Port Harcourt, one in Warri, the other one in Kaduna. You look at the age of those refineries. You're using equipment. So if you put in a lot of money to refurbish the refineries, you would find that those machines, most of those machines are old and archaic. So you come, you change a part here, you start operating it, the other part starts giving problem again, another part starts giving problem again. Then you bring in the idea of the kind of staffing system that you would have had in those organizations. That's an organizational issue. That you would also see that the place may be overstaffed because it's a government venture. Everybody sees it as a social organization. That's when I talk about social, I talk about social welfare organization. So employ as many as you can. So you also see the kind of expertise that will be existing in the place and the kind of thinking about government property belongs to nobody. So that passion is not there. So you want to turn around a place and you are faced with a number of obstacles to be able to turn around that organization. So what we have had has been organizational challenges within the refinery structure and issues of government being able to lay the kind of control that they should be having in an organization like that. And coupled with all those issues, you would not expect that all these monies that they are calling $18 billion and all that you would make it to come out to bring up good results. You see, President Obasanjo had been in government for several years as head of state. He has also been a civilian president for 8 years. So when he makes a statement, he knows what he's talking about. So if he says he came out of government and kept saying that no matter what you do, you may not be able to turn around these refineries, sell them. Dangote went and bought the refinery and comes out to say, leave that refinery, sell them. You will not be able to do it. They know what they are saying. So if Obasanjo knows what he's saying, Dangote outside government is a private person but a businessman knows what he's saying. So how come the people in the National Assembly or any other Nigerian will not also know the same thing? That's the basis I'm saying, that they are pretending as if they are going to investigate anything. But on the other hand, I also said that it may just be to give a legal framework, because the issues will come. You need to raise a report in the National Assembly to be able to make changes, certain changes that would enable you to be able to sell. That's when you look at the ownership of those refineries. So NNPC on their own cannot sell it. They don't own it completely. So they cannot sell it. So you would have to pass through due process to be able to sell it. So for you to be able to initiate it, then you have to go and see for yourself and generate a report and send it to the National Assembly. And National Assembly will look at it and make recommendations, or just tell the executive arm of government this is what is needed. Meanwhile, the executive arm of government, they also know the truth. So when it comes, they will also know that that place is due for privatization and it should be what this man has gone to check. They all know the issues around it.
If the government is demarketing it in a way, and the potential private investor is also demarketing it in a way that they are recommending for the refinery to be sold outright.
No, they are not demarketing it. They are only speaking truth to themselves.
So who is going to be the potential buyer if one of the supposed potential buyers is also advocating
Don't
for
be
it to be
surprised.
sold?
Even Dangote that is saying that the government should sell it, he would buy it. The investors know what you see. Like I mentioned, the problem of the refinery is not about the equipment that are old and archaic and rusted and eroded, or the environment that has been so worn out and all that. That's not the problem. You could buy a scrap as a vehicle and put it to good use because it's your private vehicle. So an investor coming in will be able to assess the equipment thoroughly and make a buying decision. If you put it up for sale, people will not just come and buy it. They will make do an assessment and buy it. They will consider what they will need to put in to turn it around. So you discount it for them and they buy the place. But it will come back as a very good economic benefit for the country when you have it back working. So the idea of government or people in government that will say sell it is not as if they are demarketing it. Sell it as scrap. You are better off doing so. So you look at the refinery, like you rightly said that so much money has been put in there.
Yeah.
So look at it from 2007 that it was sold to Dangote. In 2008 you reversed it. From 2008 till date is that $18 billion spent. So what came into government's hand from spending $18 billion? Nothing. So the whole idea is, instead of it, you keep draining the resources of government on such a project. Why not just sell it off? So even if the private people are not doing anything with it, it's better government is not also spending money on it.
Okay.
Okay. Marvel, let me come this way. What some Nigerians believe this exercise will be another exercise in futility, and others say it's mere theatrics, and which of course may not yield anything. For many citizens anyway, the pattern is predictable. The House announces an investigation, committees are formed, the public hearings are held, but in the end nothing changes. This repeated cycle has eroded public confidence not only in the National Assembly but also in the government's willingness to enforce accountability. Do you see this probe as another Nigerian probe that will be swept under the carpet even after investigations must have been concluded?
No, I don't see it that way. You see, that's why I said going to visit the place is just a pretense, because the truth is no. It's not about, I'm not looking at it in terms of the usual activity of government to set up an investigation to probe an issue. I'm looking at it in terms from the legal framework perspective. You see, the National Council on Privatization and Commercialization, they'll be the ones to come in here if you want to privatize the place. If you want to sell, you would have to go through the Bureau of Public Enterprises to be able to sell. So there are due process that you need to follow, and of course all this falls under the National Council on Privatization and Commercialization. So if all these NNPC subsidiaries are part of what should be, which I think they are, then it has to pass through that route. So for you to sell the place under a very effective legal framework, then you need to follow this due process. The National Assembly goes, look at the place, and come back and give you the report you already know. Then you legislate on it. It goes to the executive signs it into law, and they say sell, and they sell. So, but the issue is, it is due for sale. When you also look at the arguments from the labor union that don't sell it, you would ask, why are you saying don't sell it? They will tell you it will lead to loss of jobs. That if they sell it, to lead for. So you'll also be wondering if there are job losses and it's to the benefit of the country, because like I tried to explain earlier.
Sounds like a delicate situation.
It's a very plain situation. You have an organization that has been draining resources from government. So you have 100 employees there who you are paying fat salaries to, and there's no profit coming from there. You just keep paying.
Some would argue there are other government enterprises that are being funded in terms of remunerations, and they are not generating revenue.
That's a conversion for another day.
Uh-huh.
But this one that we caught them, let us deal with them first. Now, you look at the refinery, you are spending so much money on personnel, you are spending so much money on emoluments, you are spending so much money on the operational cost of the place, and there's no money coming back into government's pocket, and you want to sell, and somebody comes up with the argument that it will lead to loss of jobs. What jobs? If jobs are meant to bring profitability, to boost the economy, so if it is draining the economy, then why protect a job that may just be there to drain the economy in the volume that we are seeing? So if we are going to take an immediate decision to save our economy, then why not take that decision and save the economy? So those arguments may not be sufficient for us to stand by them. So another argument about the government losing control in terms of pricing is not also sufficient, because if you are looking at the products that are coming from those refineries, they are not even coming out in the first place for you to say that they are offering a good competition in the market, for you to say that you are using it to control prices. You're not controlling price when you are importing fuel. So if you were producing the fuel through these refineries, then you would have been controlling prices. So if you are not controlling prices through the production of your having products, so you cannot also control prices that you don't even have control about in the global economy. So you also would like to make a comparative analysis of what happened in the telecom sector. Some of us that were around in those days of NITEL, you know how much we were paying per minute for call. And today, the telecommunication sector has been privatized, and we know how much we are paying per minute. It was in this country that somebody said the telephone is not for the poor. And today, we used to hear stories of other countries that shoemenders, carpenters, they have telephone, and you'll be wondering how. But today we have telephones because of privatization.
Okay.
So people also will bring up arguments of NEPA or PHCN. They are not privatized. Anyway, maybe
But PHEDR and the EEDC, IKEDC, they are all private enterprises running our power companies and the power sector.
That's why you see, when we talk privatization, there are levels of privatization.
Okay.
So if you're having a partial privatization of a place, it's not privatization.
Let's not go into that for now. You're listening to Melting Point on Memories 96.5 FM this Tuesday morning, the 14th of October 2025, and we're talking about the latest probe, decided by the House of Representatives on the refineries in Nigeria. About $18 billion spent so far without, let's just say without any output. Let's leave it at that.
No, say it the way it is. There's no output.
Let's talk about repeated failures in turnaround maintenance. Marvel. Each administration has promised to fix the refineries through turnaround maintenance, but there's been no real success. Why do you think every attempt at turnaround maintenance has failed, and what could be fundamentally wrong with the way these projects are handled?
You see, your understanding of organization would help you see that when you are positioning organization, you have key aspect of that organization. One of the very key aspects of that organization success is the staffing level in that organization. The other part of it is your level of equipment. You can include technology in that level as well. Then you now look at the leadership of the organization, the management of that organization. So if you understand and differentiate between the staffing level and the management level, then you see how organization starts on its own to face the market. So these are factors, these are variables that help you determine whether an organization is going to be successful or is not going to be successful. So when you have an organization like a department of government called the refineries in the country, and you have them bring in a culture of work that is not compliant with profit and loss analysis. Look at the operation. Everybody, sometimes you look at it and say, "This you are working as if you are in the civil service." The private sector work environment is quite different. What you require in the private sector, you hear people talk about setting targets for people. You hear a lot of things that have to do with performance management in the private sector that is not very common in the civil service structure, except you are discussing in terms of the theoretical values. So when you are setting up an organization for profit and loss, it's different from an organization that you set up with the understanding of it being a welfareist or a social organization that is meant to serve the people. So when you have an organization like that and it runs into a problem, you cannot use the same set of variables to turn around that organization. You cannot use, you see, the culture of a workplace has a lot of role to play in how effective that workplace can be. So you had a culture that ran the organization down in the first place. I'm just putting it in simple words. So if this work culture is what ran this organization down, how? Maintenance culture in that place. How did it come that a refinery will stop working, completely stop working? You see, if you are familiar with how the manufacturing sector operates, you would have a spare parts store. You are not going to buy spare parts if any part of it breaks down. Any company that's serious minded and uses equipment for its work, you know how you are going to audit your systems to ensure that you are able to run this organization without downtime, or at a very high reduced downtime. Okay. What would enable you to do that is your discipline, the way you structure things in that organization. So in the refinery, one thing went wrong and it went down and up to the point that you stopped operation. If it has to do with a part, when you ran out of parts in your spare parts store, you didn't know, then you stop operation. Then when you stop operation, somebody says, put in money. It will revive it by putting in money. Money doesn't solve problems. Money, it's a lazy mind that will say put in money to solve a problem. No, money does not solve a problem. So that is just my simple way of putting a picture to you why no government money can go and turn around the refinery. Look at it, how it started.
How difficult was it to realize this at the initial stage when the turnaround maintenances were not actually yielding results?
The organization is running with a certain culture. So you have a culture where people are busy trying to award contracts to their friends and relatives. I'm just giving that as an example. So you are dealing with a situation where people are busy trying to see how to get their relatives and friends to be employed in that organization. You are trying to see how you can get extra code for yourself when you're going for maybe range training programs, all sort of things that goes on within the government department. You and I know. So how would you now pay attention? See, running an organization is not something that it requires attention to details. So if you don't have, like when we were talking about the turnaround maintenance of this place, you heard government talking about outsourcing the maintenance of those refineries. And you know, I was in this studio at that time and I applauded them that if you can outsource it, do, because you don't have the internal system to be able to take care of the maintenance of that refinery after it has been turned around. But you see, we are also conscious that even if you outsource the maintenance of that place to an external, the majority of the processes is still in the hands of those with poisoned culture in that place. So the outsourced company that will come in, it was an international organization that given the opportunity to come and do it. So they come in and they have their own expectation. Nothing can work without integration, without you cooperating with whatever system that you have in place. So this person comes in and meets. If somebody transfers you from this place to another place, if the people there reject you, you will be struggling. There is no way you will be able to fit in easily. So an external company outsourced to come and do maintenance in the place may never succeed at it. It's like if you understand something about technology transfer, you ask someone to come in and teach you how to do one or two things, and the person doesn't want to teach you because he wants to continue to be receiving his fees.
Yeah.
You get frustrated at it. So many things. I wish we take it and I'm able to explain these organizational issues to you, for you to be able to see that no matter how much money is thrown at these refineries, it cannot turn it around. That's why each time I'm in your studio discussing the refineries in Nigeria, I would laugh, because you see a very beautiful intention from government, and you know that that intention is not going to work.
Okay. But certainly it's going to work here on Memories 96.5 FM on the melting point. I will be expecting your calls much later. Okay, Marvel. Benjamin Kalu, the Deputy Speaker who presided over the session at the House of Reps, gave the committee 4 weeks to report back for further legislative action. Yet few Nigerians expect much from that timeline. Similar deadlines have come and gone in previous probes, which ended with no public report or sanction. Now, considering the timeline, and of course recently the United Nations had come to tell us about how criminal Nigeria is and all of that. The same House of Assembly gave 6 months now have gone. They promised to investigate that allegation from the UN. Now, considering this timeline of 4 weeks, how much stroke do you think the House can realize within this period?
That is why I said they are pretending to go and make findings.
Marv, before you continue there, let me get to open the phone lines for the listener to join in on the conversation this morning. The phone lines to do so are 0803 085 7755, 0809 066 6909. Remember, when you call in, try to be as concise and civil as possible. You can send a WhatsApp message to the second number, 0809 066 6909. Shoot.
So also we are talking about 4 refineries.
Right.
These refineries, they are big. Okay, it's not a child's play.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to go and do a forensic audit
In 4 weeks.
in 4 weeks. You want to go and find out where $18 billion is not naira.
Are you trying to say
How it was spent.
the House of Representatives doesn't want to seem like it's not doing anything, so they are attempting to do something?
Not exactly that. They know what they are doing. See, that journey to the refineries by the House of Representatives is mainly to give the government, the executive arm of government, the muzzle to make the right decision. It's like this: you go there, you already know what the problem is, you have taken that step. So, like fulfilling all righteousness, you've gone there, you come back and you say, actually this $18 billion has been mismanaged, or somebody had tampered with part of this money. It wasn't utilized effectively, because you already know that somebody would have used that money to do something else for their private or personal gains or something. So you come up with this report. But the most important part of this report is for you to be able to tell the executive arm of government that those 4 refineries, they are not working. So that's what the report is meant to do. Those 4 refineries are not working. So in the part of the report, they will ask you for a recommendation. So you recommend they sell the place. So when once you make that recommendation for the sale of the place, then the executive arm of government will take it from there. And
Is that not supposed to come from experts? I mean, the House of Representative members are just legislators.
but we own this Nigeria now. So the point is this: you already, if you study their report very well, don't forget that that doesn't stop the executive arm of government engaging maybe international forensic auditors to enter the place. Don't also forget that there was a time in this country we heard of the off your mic issue, where we began to talk about award of contracts and so on. So why was the mic supposed to be off? It was because most part of the members of that place, they were also getting contract from NDDC. So you see, the refinery, they turn around when the money comes and you want to award contract for the cleaning of the pipeline or whatever equipment you want to do. Who are the companies that are doing those things, and at what rate will they given the contract to handle those things? So it's a complex issue, but the most important thing is for us to get it right. and do the right thing, which is privatize the place. So whether you want to do it as a complete privatization, which is what I think should be done, or whether you want to do it as partial privatization, because even this partial privatization has worked in many cases, like Nigeria liquefied natural gas is partially privatized. So you have government owning 49% share and the private company owning 51. Even Sheraton Abuja was running that way as well, and they are profitable, they are moving, they are doing very, very well. So even if you want to do that partial privatization, or you want to sell our shares or complete privatization, just hands off and let one Korean company or China company come and buy the place and do whatever they want to do with it. Because these refineries are quite expensive. Even if you want to sell it as scrap, you may not be able to have investors who are Nigerians wholly buying it. Or maybe a consortium of companies can come together and buy the refineries. However you want to do it. But this action by the National Assembly would help to a very large extent give the president the muzzle to make the right decision. The president too needs to give the Ojolari the political backing for him to be able to generate the kind of reports. If you understand the whole process of privatization, there are obstacles here and there that you need to move across. So the excitement about this action of this National Assembly is that it's going to help give the legal framework for the place to be sold, which is what we need mostly. Sell it off and let us have more companies, more refineries in Nigeria. That is how to control price, not by government controlling the price like some union members are talking about, it affecting the price of petrol.
Speaking of the price, let's talk about the impact on the economy. Before that, remember the phone lines are still open for you to join in on the conversation on 0803 085 7755 0809 066 6909. Well, because our refineries are not working, we have to import fuel, even though we produce crude oil, which affects prices and the cost of living. How much do you think the non-functionality of our refineries is really costing the Nigerian economy and the ordinary citizens today?
Yes.
I mean, it looks like we have gotten so used to not having our refineries function, and we have adapted so much.
You see, when we talk about the economy of Nigeria, we would see that we are totally dependent on oil up till now. We've not actually recorded that shift to other areas of the economy. We should be concentrating more now on human capital development, digital innovation, agriculture, even marine economies. That's what we should be looking at diversifying into to make us a very strong nation. Now, we don't have it's something practical. We don't have we seem not to get it right in our effort to completely diversify, because we are still putting in so much on oil, depending on oil and looking at you see the prices of petrol, the prices of diesel and all that is as high because we were importing, we were not producing in here. That's part of it. The other part of it is maybe the oil price at the global market and all that. So you see, instead of us to protect our foreign exchange reserve, or we spend so much money importing those items. So what has it done to us? It has made the economy of Nigeria, we talk about the high price of dollar, that is the low value of naira. It's part of it. It's mainly you keep importing petrol, you keep importing everything, especially the petroleum products in this regard of discussion that we are having. So what does that tell us? So the little money we're having, we're using it to enrich other countries. So those countries that are having those refineries, they don't have unemployment issue as much as we have in Nigeria. So when their refineries are working, they are employing people to work in their refinery, so their GDP keeps going up. Our own GDP keeps coming down because we're not being as productive as we should be. But if we were to refine our crude oil then the value of Naira would also shoot up. So directly if the value of Naira shoots up, then purchasing power of individuals will also, inflation will also come down, the price of fuel will also come down. So it's a direct relationship with the economy of Nigeria when we are having such dysfunctional system where the refineries are not working in the country. It's just not what is supposed to be for the kind of resources that we are having in Nigeria. Rather, if we were to you look at the options available to us and put it side by side with what we are faced with today, it's unbelievable that in a country like Nigeria that we have the crude oil in the abundance that we are having, and yet we do not have any functional refinery in Nigeria until the private refineries started coming in. So with the private refineries in place, the modular refineries in place, these other refineries that were that are still owned by government, if you now sell them off, the competition will be high, and there's no way any Nigerian will be thinking about importing petrol. So what would that be? Prices will come down, the price of petrol will come down, and the price of goods and services will also drop. So the economy would be the better.
Okay, so let's round off in this manner. I mean, time is, we have about 2 or 3 minutes before we leave here this morning. After years of waste and disappointment, what is the most practical and honest way forward? Fix, sell, or build new refineries from scratch?
Government have no business in business. So sell it off. Government should not even think of building a refinery. Sell the
those
refinery.
are critical infrastructure.
Yes, that's part of the fear that government, you see, times have so changed over the you see, when we discovered oil, we're totally dependent on oil. I tell you, part of the reasons that you will see a president of Nigeria coming in to be Minister for Petroleum is because they feel they should control that. Is my only source of revenue. I cannot joke with this. Let me just hold it by myself. So that mentality is there. But the global economy is not like that. You open up your economy and let there be, for instance, now we see how the economy has stabilized from the federal government opening up Naira to the forces of demand and supply, and the economy has stabilized. Even though things are so expensive, even though people are so, if we keep doing things to encourage production within the country, we would gain. There's no reason why government should even think of owning a refinery in the 21st century.
All right. Well, the story of Nigeria's refineries is more than about oil. It's about leadership, accountability, and national direction. As lawmakers probe how billions were spent with little to show, Nigerians are hoping this time talk will lead to real change. Whether we fix them, sell them, or start afresh, one thing is clear: our energy future depends on getting it right. So, until the refineries work, the questions will not stop. This has been Melting Point on Memories 96.5 FM, right here in the city of Uyo. Marvel, we have to thank you very much for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you, Yaki.
And
Marvel, if you had a chance, would you buy any of the refineries, or would you go for a fresh one?
I will buy and turn it around in a.
I would go for an
I'm
old
a
one.
businessman.
well, that's the start of the show for today. My name is NYAKNNO Albert.
Thanks for joining us. I am ANIEFIOK, NKEREUWEM. Good morning. Never can go strap. I need digital.